So we've all heard of the trend quiet quitting, right? This was a big trend that was back in during the pandemic. Well, now there's this new trend called quiet vacationing. And essentially, what it is basically taking PTO without letting your boss know, right? Now, there's two different forms of this, right? There's a smaller form where let's say, and obviously this only works for people that work remotely, right? If you're whether you're hybrid or fully remote, these are people that work from home that don't have to go to the office. And there's two forms, right? The smaller form is basically, let's say you're working from home, and you while you're working from home, you would probably maybe take a nap or maybe run errands, right? These are things that people do anyways, but you don't let your boss know, right? This is a smaller form, and I'm sure a lot of people do this if they can get away with it. And it's gotten to a point where even some people like purchase the mouses where it vibrates every so often, so their computer never goes idle, so it makes it look like they're working. Right, that's a small part. That's a small form of it. Now, the larger form is people actually going on vacation or traveling while they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be at home. And now, and the thing is, I don't know why would you want to go on vacation and bring your laptop with you, right? It doesn't really seem like a vacation to me, right? Just imagine being on vacation, you always have to have your laptop, just make sure you don't get caught. It doesn't really feel like a vacation to me. But I guess what some people are doing is maybe traveling while they're doing this, right? Maybe like, let's say you have some friends across the country, you travel and you do your work while you're there, and then once you're done, you can hang out with your friends and family, right? Which doesn't seem like a really big deal to me. But if you're doing it while your boss or manager doesn't know, then obviously you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So obviously you're doing it without taking the time off. And I can understand why people are doing it, right? Like, people are afraid to take their PTO time, right? They're afraid to take the PTO time, because maybe they feel guilty about taking it. I remember working in the office. I worked in the finance department, and I remember, every month we had to close the books. I'd feel guilty if I wanted to take time off because not many people could do what I did. Or maybe if someone did, there was like one person, but people have work to do, they're overwhelmed, and adding on another responsibility just makes it tough for them. So you feel guilty saying, you want to take time off, especially when other people want to probably go on vacation as well and they can't, right? So I think a lot of people feel this way, right? You want to take time off and you can't because you feel guilty doing that because of your peers that work around you. They might look at you a certain way. So it creates this guilt of wanting to actually take PTO that's actually afforded to you, that you're allowed to take, but you don't want to take because of the guilt. So this then forces people to say, I'm gonna take matters into my own hand. Not something I would recommend, but people are gonna do what they do, and if they can get away with it, they're going to do it. So people are taking the matters into their own hand and say, I'm going to take time off without letting my boss know, and see if I can get away with it. Now, I'm good with that. If you want to do that, that's cool. But just understand, as long as you're accountable for the actions and the consequences that come along with it. If you get caught, then don't sit down and be like, oh man, my boss did this, it's unfair, this and that. Look, you knew you were doing something that you weren't supposed to do. You did it, and now these are the actions that the consequences that come along with it. So that's one thing. So another thing is, a lot of people are talking about how, like, what's wrong with doing this as long as you're getting your job done, right? And I agree. Like, if you're able to get the work done, then it shouldn't be a big deal. But like I said, bosses have their reasons for why they do things. But a lot of people are like, if I can get the job done, as long as I'm getting work done, then what's the problem, right? Now, one thing we all know is that, all right, if one person is doing it, then another person is doing it. Okay, or maybe and the problem is that if how bosses like how bosses are, right? Like, one person wants to do it, then other people want to do it, and then if some person says or you can't do it, then it kind of messes it up for the rest of the people, right? You know how that works. It's like one person wants this certain perk, and then another person asks for the perk, and then it gets to the point where everybody's asking for it. Then the boss just says, all right, no one's getting this perk, and it kind of ruins it for everyone else. Or one person is doing this quiet vacation, and it's found that other people are doing it. And maybe that one person can get away with it, but then once the boss is catching on that many other people are doing it, it gets to a point where they say, all right, you know what, we got to cut this off because everybody's doing it. Let's stop it and nip it in the butt. And that's usually how it goes, right? It's usually like it gets to a point where one person messes it for the rest of them because they're probably abusing it. Okay, and that's usually how it goes, right? And whether your boss is cool with it or not, that's up to them. And my thing is this: like, even when you're working from home, right? I know a lot of people have gotten to a point where I've talked about how, oh, if you wanted to take a nap or maybe you wanted to run some errands, like you should be able to do that. There should be some flexibility when it comes from working from home. And I agree. Like I think if you had that relationship with your manager, your boss, I don't think it would be a problem. Like if I wanted to be like, my brother works remote, and if he has to do something, he has to run an errand or have to get something, he could just contact the manager and just say, all right, can I do this? I'll be back, and it's totally cool if you have that relationship with your manager. It gets to a point where obviously if you're trying to abuse that, then like I said, it messes it up for the rest of everyone else, right? Like if a person is abusing that privilege of running errands or maybe taking naps or doing something they're not supposed to do, and it kind of messes it for everyone else. And like I said, if you can get away with this, then that's cool. But it gets to a point where you could get caught. Right. And like I said, these companies are not stupid. Right. They understand that if you allow employees to skirt the rules a little bit, they're going to take advantage of it. Right. That's just human nature. Like people are going to do that. Obviously, you want to give your employees the flexibility to do certain things and act like adults, but there's always that one person that takes advantage and it kind of ruins it for the rest of the group. And this is something that obviously employees have to be careful with. But like I said, if you're getting the job done and you're doing your work and you're doing what needs to be done, then it shouldn't be a problem. Now, if you're able to get your job done at quickly as easy as you get it done, then you got to worry about is your job capable of being automated, right? Because you know how bosses are; they're always measuring your performance, they're measuring how you're doing things. And if you're seen as someone that's getting your job done very quick, in your mind you're like, hey, I'm getting my job done. But then they're gonna look at it as oh, if he's getting a job done so quickly, like, is there a way to automate that process? Right? Is there a way where we can say, maybe if he's getting it so done, we can automate that process where we can give him another workload, right? They're always trying to make sure you're doing work and making sure they're getting their money's worth, right? Some people don't like that. Obviously, a lot of people there's a lot of people that are angry about that, and the fact that there's not a lot of flexibility when it comes to work and the whole work-life balance. When I look at it, work is work, and I don't expect anything. And even for myself, and this is one of the reasons why I got out of the whole working 9 to 5 thing, because I didn't like that the lack of flexibility, right? Whether you agree with the company or not, I always took it as, this is the company, right? I can't change the corporations. I can't change companies. I can't change the way these companies do things. The only thing I can control is what I do, right? And if I don't like it, I can either look for a new job or I can do something for my own. And that's my approach, right? I don't try to change the people. If they're not paying me enough, I don't go to them like, I can either ask for a raise or just say, you know what, the amount of money that you're giving me is I think I'm worth more than that, and I'm going to prove that I'm worth more than that basically by doing my own thing and making more money that way. And that's what that's what forced me to say, you know what, I want to start my own business and do my own thing, right? So I can control my income. And I've always been like that, even when I got out of college. Like working for someone long term was not something I wanted to do. So I was like, I'm going to have to take control over my financial situation. And this is, I would recommend this for a lot of people. I know for a lot of people that they don't want to go that route because it is a lot of work. It's easier just to go find a job and then make your demands that way. But you got to understand, when you're dealing with these companies, they have control. Whether you like it or not, you can complain all you want. They do have the control. And like I said, employees are going to find ways to skirt the rules and do what they do. You can see that with the quiet vacationing. People are like, hey, you know what? I want to take my PTO because I don't feel like I'm getting enough. They're working me to the bone. So, I'm going to take matters into my own hand. And like I said, I wouldn't recommend it. But if that's what you're going to do, just make sure you're accountable for your actions. And I think a lot of people are doing the same thing. So it's interesting to see these people when they come up with these trends, quiet quitting, and then you got quiet vacationing. It's just funny to hear these trends, where they come from, right? And it's not nothing new. People have been doing this forever, right? But now with technology, and now on social, we put this on social media. These bosses know these companies are seeing these things now. They're gonna find ways to safeguard themselves and catch people in the act. So it's just funny because now you got people on social media putting it in. Now these companies know. Now they're gonna find ways to prevent it from happening. So so it's interesting to see how these things get traction. So those are my thoughts. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure to leave a comment down below, hit the like button, share, and if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. All right, so guys, take care. Have a good one. Later.